I think it's good time to bring out a little known secret. Mr. Mehta is Mr. Asirwatham's uncle.
We had a great time. It was hard work, long hours, but we had a lovely social life.
When I passed the final exam, the firm used to not take everybody back to remain as an assistant, or what they call qualified assistant.
We were friendly competitors. We competed in an honorable, friendly way.
Sir, failures are the pillars of success. I say, yes, but don't have too many successive pillars. Huh?
We shifted from city to Colombo near the hospital. We put up a building. So he told me one-to-one, I said, James, you fellows are now Maradana accountants. Maradana accountants.
Any advice to the young professionals, young chartered accountants?
This caring, giving time to your trainee articles, people, is very important.
The potential of our youth who just did not want to express themselves for fear.
You must be a team player. There are various people with various capabilities, but yet you have to play with them.
Welcome to Untold Stories by CA Sri Lanka, the first episode of such. I am Tivanka Jayasinghe, your host today, and I have the very rare and unique privilege of interviewing not one but two legends of our profession. Both of them collectively have shaped our profession to what is today and guided the profession during their very illustrious career. My first guest that I would like to introduce is Mr. James Mehta. He was a partner of Turkan and Young then and Ernst Young thereafter for many years, from 1964 to 2001, and has really guided and mentored many young professionals during his time there, and has held many positions of organizations in boards and other leadership forms in listed and unlisted organizations in Sri Lanka. My second guest is none other than Mr. Rajan Asirwatham. He served as a partner of Ford Rhodes and Thornton and Company for many years, I believe from 1972 to 2008, and he too has led many organizations both in the public sector as well as in the private sector, held many board positions as well. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation today. I'd like to sort of start off with Mr. Mehta. You started your career during the very founding stages of our profession. What was it like when you joined Ernst Young, and how did you join Turkan and Young back then?
Thank you, Tivanka, for inviting us here and for this chat show. I joined the University of Sri Lanka, Colombo University, in 1949 with the hope of doing an economics degree, and there's a specialty, but the specialty was not yet decided, because they started accounting for the first time in 1949. They didn't have permanent lecturers, two visiting lecturers, both distinguished practitioners, Mr. K. Sachidananda and Mr. B.R. De Silva. Sachit was for accounting lectures, B.R. was for auditing lectures. So at the end of 1 year, if you are qualified to do honours degree, you can choose economics with accounting special. That's how I came to do accountancy, because I wanted to do accountancy at that time. And then after qualifying, I was very anxious to do articles. I wanted to do articles in London, but no money to go to London. So I got employed I was at the central bank, joined the central bank, and I had a good boss as chief accountant. While chatting, he came to realize that I was anxious to do articles in London. So he told me, James, you fix a place in London, I'll get you 4 years leave. 4 years was necessary because the Sri Lankan degree was not recognized by the UK Institute. So when I went there, I had to do an external economics degree from the University of London. So for that I got 4 year full pay leave. But he said, I'll get you leave, you fix a place. So a friend of mine knew the Minister of Finance at the time, Mr. M.D. Javadna, and he said, I will take you to him, he will be able to fix you. So he took me to him and he said, yes, I will speak to my friend Lionel, who is Auditor General, and as you know, he was our first president for 8 years. And he fixed the appointment. And as I was leaving, he said, Mehta, if you want a certificate testimonial, I'll certainly give you one. So I went, saw Lionel Weerasinghe. Again, he went to and said, yes, I can fix you. And he said, but I want 2 certificates. So told that the Minister of Finance was going to give me a certificate. I said, so the Minister of Finance said, you'll give me a certificate. You know what his response was? From a politician, 1 from a university down, 1 from the private sector. So anyway, I got the place in London, a firm of accountants, and came back. But in a short spell, a lot of my friends in the private sector were advising and encouraging me to shift to the profession particularly. And I sent my CV to TY, Turk & Young's, all British partners. So at the interview, they said, okay. Then they said, you know, Mehta, you have 2 degrees and that is good. But once you join your profession, those don't matter to us. What matters? Performance, working hard, delivering on time. So immediately that I thought was a good eye-opener for me also. And then I realized there and then that the degree is not that helpful to do a basic thing like accounting. And that is how I joined TY, all British partners, 3 British partners, in February 1964.
And Mr. Asirwatham, the next question is to you, and starting out at a similar period when you started your profession, career as well. What made you join KPMG and how did that happen?
Yes, Devanka. It was not KPMG then. It was Ford Rose Thornton and Company. And at that time, British partners ran Ford Rose. And I must confess that they were quite arrogant, unlike the Ernst Young partners, who were very friendly and Sri Lankan. Now, Mr. Hard staff, and I became such good friends. He settled down in Aurelia and he kept in touch with me. So what happened was, my aspirations were as far as a local firm, because the British firms were out of reach. My mother, who was the driving force, she was looking around, and even she spoke to Mr. Sachidananda, whom she had known. But then there was Sambamurthy and Company. Otherwise, it was Ford Rhodes Thornton, because Mr. Thornton lived in Sri Lanka. And in India, it was known as Ford Rose Parks. In Australia, Ford Rose Harris. In England, Ford Rose Williams. Then in 1961, I remember going to school on the 31st of July, and we had our prize giving. And as school prefects, we had such freedom because nobody spoke to us. We used to roam this whole school, loading ourselves, because we could walk through anywhere. Then my mother spoke to her cousin and decided that Mr. Sam Kadirgama wanted these certificates sent to him. He said, not a single politicians, don't come near with a politician's certificate. Bring me one from your warden, one from your sub-warden, one from your housemaster, and one from your chaplain. I don't want to see anything else. So I went to the warden, sub-warden, then the housemaster knew because I used to be very active in Stonehouse. Problem was going up to a chaplain who was Reverend, was a boy in, a skeptic and a cynic, but a Cambridge scholar. He introduced music to the first carol service based on what happens in Cambridge. So I knocked on his door with trepidation and he said, "Who is that? Come in. What do you want?" "Sir, Father, I came to ask you whether you can give a certificate." "Why?" "Because I want to study accounting." Why you want accountancy? Why don't you do a degree?" "No, Father, the subjects I have done for my A-level are English literature, history, British Constitution. So how can I, if at all I have to go to Aquinas and do a London degree. Otherwise I have to go to England. So all your friends are going to England. My father has no money to send me to England. So he said, find out for yourselves some place. Then I was going down the stairs. He shouted at me and said, "Asirwatham, come here." I thought, now he's going to say, "Can you find out the name of that Britisher who you say might have a vacancy? I will talk to him direct." So I thought these are the chaplains who went out of their way to help. But of course he didn't have to speak to. Things worked out well. And my mother was driving force. She drove me for the first interview to Ford Roads and going up to Times Building. We had partners there. An interview went well. And I was told, okay, you are selected, subject to 3 months confirmation. If you do in that 3 months, because you are selected, pending results. If you don't get through your 3 A-level passes, out, and you are not coming here again. So what to do? I went back praying and to find one day. So I was sent first day. When I went there, I was given a lift from home. We lived in Kilapana by Mr. Sirimana, who was general manager of the Bank of Ceylon, dropped me there. And I walked across to the Ford Roads office at YMBA building. And there was a computer operator. You know, in the old days, they used to operate these computers from Mathugama. So I was told, okay, you go to Haley's. So that guy said, come, I'll take you. And bus fare? No, 5 cents. No, I'll pay the bus fare. So we went to Haley's, got down there, walked into the office, and it was a case of culture shock. When I went in there, where we auditors were kept, then after some time, subordinate staff brought plain tea. So I said, thank you. So one of the guys said, why are you thanking him, man? That's his job now. So that fellow was stunned. Yeah, I'm saying thank you because I'm getting plain tea, which is true. That was his job. But at such a time, then I from there went on to various always traveling by bus and trying to walk distances to save 5 cents bus fare because we were given 35 rupees a month. And that was also my father's premium. And they had no hesitation in cutting the premium if we did something wrong. So I passed out in 1961. They decided to send me to England for training. And they sent somebody called Mr. Frank Atwood, who wrote a book on auditing. He was at the airport. Another black fellow getting off the bus. You want to know who it is? No? He said, I have come to meet you. And here I have brought some money for you. So I went to my uncle's place by bus and settled down there. And I moved to the MIH, called the Methodist International Hostel, which is a haven for Sri Lankan students. And run by the Methodist Church. there was a person called Arnold Cooper. His wife gave a nice letter, and they said, you can come and you share a room with 2 others, comfortable, proper toilets and all that. So I was quite happy there. And in the evening, so meal times were strict. You come in the morning, you have and dinner, you go there, they give you cocoa, and you have a chat at the lounge, meet so many Sri Lankan students, and have a chat about old days back home. Now this was in 1975, and that was the time of the World Cup. And I went for every match. I used to walk from the MIH to Lord's Grounds. But it was a good walk, and I used to walk back watching matches. And that's how I started. And he also he's a great walker, and from morning to evening. And I also used to walk. I must have walked hundreds of miles. Now it is telling on me because I've been losing a lot of water, so I may be walking too much. That's why I had to strengthen my feet. But that's how I started. So my mother, who was the driving force, went and met so many people and said, okay. And I think I made her cry more than she had ever cried in her life. But every time she started weeping. So, I'm so happy. So anyway, that's how I started. Then I was at Ford Road. I was told by Mr. Panditharatna one day, I say, you have now come back. Mr. Boteju has retired. So you have to take out tax. I said, sir, you sent me there. I was so delighted with the new techniques, new things. Now you ask me to change. No? I said, somebody has to do tax now. So you take him. Okay. Then the budget of Mr. Felix Stas came and the Ernst Young partners remained. But all the KPMG partners absconded, except for one person paid. So what to do now? So Mr. Panditharatna said, and the partner who was handling staff, Mr. Wilson, he also migrated. I say, you have to take all staff. Sir, I want to fight this union. I am half their age. I don't think they like me. Because they are going to find fault with me and make life miserable. You know that. I say, those are bloody communists. You just ignore them. Be very careful. Fellows will provoke you. Don't say anything that gives them room to provoke you. We have a saying in Sinhala, Andanna inna miniyage ahata angillen anin depa. So don't leave any room for them. Because tears will start gushing out. You tell the fellows, man. So also these two, I think these two resent my being there. And then they one day asked me a question about some transaction. And like a fool, I said, no, that's grey. That's not black. How can that be? You have made a mistake. We want to meet Mr. Panditharatnam. We want to go and see him now. So I said, they want to come and see you. I don't know what I think I made a mistake. Ask also come. So they all came in. Sir, you want to talk about Mr. Asirwatham? Yes, what about Mr. Asirwatham? Do you know that he said that this is grey? Now he's telling them, did he really say that? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He said that. Are you sure? He said it. Yes, sir. I say, he's smarter than I thought he was. No. If you look at it from this angle, isn't it grey? I say, he has spotted it. I would never have spotted it. He is much smarter than I have. Now they're all looking at me. So I want to turn around and say, thank you. He didn't even ask what the problem was. He knew I had a mistake. He winked at me. So what have you got? No, sir. Then they're telling me, we are going. And they went off. He said, I told you, no, man. If you want anything, just tell me. So that's how I ended up doing staff from that day onwards to today. So, and I always made a note because staff, I was fascinated. Sorry, uncle, I'm deviating. Because I have been on I'll tell you how I got called to education. Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, since you call Mr. Mehta uncle, I think it's a good time to bring out a little known secret. These two icons are actually related, and Mr. Mehta is Mr. Asirwatham's uncle. So, I mean, that's a very interesting dynamic in that day. I think both of you joined the profession at its very founding stages. What was it like interacting with each other between the two firms, Durkin and Young and Ford Rhodes, Thornton and Company?
We were friendly competitors. Right. We competed in an honorable, friendly way. Because they were own relationships, family relationships. We had personal friendships with partners, close personal friendships. Then we used to be associated in chambers, social clubs, institute activities, and committees together. So we had a lot in common. We play a cricket game once a year. Only the two at that time, only the two, yeah. Then we had to have rugby matches. Then we used to have dinner functions from time to time where the wives and all the partners met. So it was a very close relationship. And no undercutting, no undercoating, no pinching of staff, absolutely none, because very close relationship. As a result, personal friendships, but as a result, you had to put up with the little jibes. It was one-to-one. A very close friend of mine who was a senior, we shifted from city to Kalambutan, near the hospital. We put up a building. So he told me one-to-one, I said, James, you fellows are now Maradana accountants. Maradana accountants.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And so it was all in the fun, but very honorable way.
Okay. And there's another very important story that very few of us perhaps know about, is that you were one of the founding members of the institute, the first batch. Yes. How was the institute formed, and how did that formation and the first batch of members take place?
My knowledge is fairly limited on it, but as far as I know, Rajan, you can help out. Those days, they should be registered accountants, Department of Commerce, who held an examination, and they were called registered accountant. They passed 1 or 2 people a year, not more than 1 or 2. And there was pressure from government that you should form an institute. So government helped in forming an institute, like institutes all over the world, as a controlling body for the profession of accounting. I think that's how initially, and initially all of us who were members of the UK Institute became founder members. That's how we go.
And Mr. Asirwatham, you were one of the first batches to pass out from the institute as a chartered accountant. What was it like?
Actually, that's quite correct about the registered accountant. And so at Ford Rhodes, Ford Rhodes was 1897. And at one stage, they represented all the Deloitte Haskins and Sells, Piedmont, Rick Mitchell, every firm was represented here, other than Cooper's. And it was between Ernst Young and then Duncan Watkins, I think, a start, no?
The 50s, Duncan Watkins.
Yeah. And then it became
Duncan Young's first, and then we didn't take the Barton Mayo here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was Ford Rhodes Thornton right through, because Mr. Thornton's picture also hangs somewhere here. He lived in Sri Lanka. So we were proud of our history. And, but what he says is correct. So people used to try to set one against the other. In the same time, younger firms, because they were poaching audits. And where can you poach from? From the bigger ones. So Ernst Young or whatever it is, were told they used to call a beauty parade, where people come and see what they can do. Yeah. And Ernst Young said, no, if it's for those, don't talk to us. We are going to change. If it, then you get people from abroad saying, no, auditors rotate. Don't talk to us. We are not interested in taking. We return the compliment. And that once a year dinner was a real success. And Mr. MTL Fernando, his passing around, told me, now please keep this going. Don't let it stop. People will create misunderstanding. Keep this dinner going. I think. So once a year we meet, have a chat. There's a sing song. And then I decided to do the same thing with Deva to go at Cooperson Library. And said, Deva, why don't you? Because I think there was some misapprehension about whether Cooper's entry into Sri Lanka was being blocked politically or not. And so he said, we'll have dinner. He said, wonderful idea. So before I left, we used to have dinner, meet up, and then they used to host us. And everything is good. Whether these dinners still continue, I don't know. I'm not sure. But that solved a lot of problems. And the rapport, because whenever there was a question of somebody from abroad saying, rotate auditors, he used to no. And they had to take a vote with exchanging 4 rules, he would have. It stays well. And the thing is, Mr. Panitharatna never allowed us to take any board positions. He said, I'm sorry, you are not going to get any board. Why? Because unwittingly, unknowingly, you might come up with some information which you have learned elsewhere and which your clients have. So therefore, no. So there were so many offers, so we didn't have a single board position. But because board position so very careful, now like Mr. Merrill Fernando, who when he and I have worked together, he has told his children, whatever you do, my wish is that Uncle Rajan should be on the board. So I am well past 70, they are breaking all the rules, trying to bring in the thing. That was his wish, whatever you do. Now Mr. Harry Jawazna is keeping me on all his boards wrong past the age. So because they feel that it can't be got at unwittingly. So that's a happy relationship. And also, there is when my daughters wanted to do accountancy, I sent them to Mr. Maiden. He looked after them without their knowing, in that it is very important that you send females or girls to places where they can go to. Otherwise, toilet facilities and all that. So he made sure that they were sent to such places, whether knowingly or unknowingly, I don't know. But, so now my grandson started, they want to put, I said no. So he has started at KPMG because he was a school prefect and he had all the credentials. So he has joined up with KPMG, though a lot of his batchmates have joined Ernst Young. But it's a happy relationship as it goes at the moment. And I have no regrets. I only hope that this is not broken by interested parties.
Another sort of interesting story would be how leadership of these two firms from British, from overseas professionals were transitioned to Sri Lankans. Mr. Mehta, can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about my senior partner, MTL Fernando, a legendary figure. He joined Ernst Young purely because he went to Shell company and they offered him a salary different to what they offered the same chartered accountant from UK, a Britisher. So that was not acceptable to him. Now, many firms did that. But at Young's, what the partners, there were 3 assistants, qualified assistants from UK, and 3 or 4 Sri Lankan qualified. So when he applied, he the first, they offered him the same salary, except that the foreign chartered accountant got his rent allowance, some 1 or 2 allowances for him too, but the salary was the same. So that was a big boon those days. Now I had to pay back with the central bank bond, which I did in almost 1.5 years because that was the salary.
Okay, and out of the Sri Lankan pool of professionals that were there, how were you how did you become one of those first?
There were 3 of us.
Right.
Untold Fmr, Rex and myself. Rex also did his chartered in UK. He did a law degree in Sri Lanka. So we had a great time. It was hard work, long hours, keeping the clients' deadlines, but we had a lovely social life. We were all personally very friendly. We used to go on trips together, weekends, and MTL Fmr was an outstanding leader. Will never raise his voice, right and wrong, can't shift him. Absolutely fine leader. And he, I think primarily because of him, and I was staff partner for 28 years, this caring, giving time to your trainee articles, people, is very important because they feel they are left there and no one cares about us. They are going to be our future equals. And so we have a responsibility of looking after them. So I had an open door. Every day anywhere the article people can come and see me between 7:45 in the morning and 8:30. Otherwise, Poppy Day, what they used to call Poppy Day, once a month, 15 minutes for each person. And but that way, and also inculcating, this is part of the reasons for successful practitioner, inculcating the dreaded job you're doing, auditing. Those days auditing was the main thing. Auditing was dreaded by the client because he thinks they are trying to find fault with us. And so you have to, how you approach to inculcate that thing. Always be friendly, always be helpful, always accessible. But on standards, laws, ethics, nothing. That's a but, no. So you have to cultivate that type of, which worked in the long run. You have to go through a lot of, you have to put up with a lot of, because these are young people in just coming up, out of school. So discipline was I was paranoid about punctuality and discipline. So that had to be imposed very strictly. And here I would like to say something little humorous. You have to put up with a lot of nonsense from them also. When we introduced, Rajan, I don't know whether you know, when you introduced that they must wear a tie. 6 months before, we had taken 6 girls, first time, 40 girls, outstanding girls. So, we partnered there, they must wear a tie. So, I sent a circular. And then the feedback was that they are disgruntled and they are... So, MPA told me, why don't you speak to them? Only about 30 of them at that time. So, I called them and had a chat, and I found one Bolshi guy, one chap who was the cause. He was a member of parliament's son. He was, and the others were all quiet. So I was only talking with him. I found that I was arguing with him. So about 14, 15 minutes, I was almost giving up when he said, sir, all right, we will wear ties. provided you ask the girls to wear saris. So I said, you stupid fellow, you want to see less of the girls covered in sari than they're in frocks. So there was big applause from all the other men, and that was carried. That was the end of that row. Others kept quiet. So that is, and I must say that that culture we gave, which everyone is bound to do that, is the one that gave me the greatest satisfaction. Because I have lifelong friendships with many of the trainees, both here and abroad. They still come and say, maybe we go out for a meal together. So that, and we're in touch on email.
Thank you for that valuable advice. I mean, no doubt, even personally, I have been the beneficiary, and so has my family as well, on the valuable opportunity of being part of an organization which molds and trains young professionals. It lays a very strong foundation, I think, for any profession, those values that you explained. Mr. Asirwatham, over to you. What would sort of you say would have been the key attributes that you had in being chosen to become a partner in Ford Rhodes and Thornton?
When I passed the final exam, the firm used to not take everybody back to remain as an assistant, or what they call qualified assistant. So I never expected to be king, but there were others, and they were all looking for jobs and all that. One day, you don't want to continue here. So I didn't know you wanted me. Who told you I didn't want you? So you continue here. Okay, you will get 1,200 rupees salary. Now your role goes up and you have to play this thing. So I was delighted to serve a period as what they call qualified assistant at Rome. And then we used to have meetings with all those who had sat for the exam. And to be called into a room. Okay, what's your result? Pass. Good. You? Fails. Then there was a boy from Jaffna. I suppose you failed again. Because he used to be in the YMCA and do a lot of reading except accounting. Except accounting textbooks. You failed again? Yes, sir. Sir, failures are the pillars of success. I say, yes, but don't have too many successive pillars. Huh? So everyone thought that. And then we were sent out, and then we used to make in the main office. We had no cubicles and all that. And I was doing, so staff on Saturdays used to all meet up, because there was this book called Reporting Book, which I used to tick off the name. And that was Saturday. Invariably what happened was, most of us used to end up as tick the book, and I also joined them. We used to end up as a YMCA for tea or coffee. By the time you get to the client's office, it's late. But that was a ritual, because as a result, since it had grown so much, we wanted every single person to know. We don't want, like some of the government schools, someone might say, I say, you also there? No, I didn't know that, because you're part of it. Which group are you? So everyone mingled, had a chat, and so they knew, yes, this one is. So it was kept going, and it gave me great pleasure. And also, I want to deviate a bit, because I have over the years had a second vote to my thing. I've been involved in education. And I have served tertiary education on the campuses of Open University, Moratuwa more than once, Colombo about 3 times, Wayamba, and met a cross-section of students. And so good talking to them. When they come in there, they are very diffident about talking in English. Why? It's because so people in Colombo laugh at their pronunciation, calling them all. So I used to tell them, don't worry. Anyway, that's another story. But I realized the potential of our youth who just did not want to express themselves for fear. And so when these people used to come to Ford Road, I used to talk to them and tell them, now you have joined a British firm. It's a shame for you to go back and say you're not talking proper English. None of you, except for a few burger children, English is your mother tongue. So you talk to each other in English. If you make a mistake and somebody laughs at you, laugh at them. Because you are here, if you walk down this road to that German cafe and want to have and ask them for Sri Lankan food, they'll say, we serve only German food. You go and look for a bhat curry. So I said, you don't feel shy. If they laugh at you, laugh back at them. And I'm amazed at the end of the day how well, and they acquire accents also. And they are so confident on what they came in and what they went out. That was one of the most happiest, still one of the most happiest moments of my life.
Yeah, I think talking about the happiest moments of your life, Mr. Mehta, you'd like to sort of reminisce one of your most memorable moments in your career. So many, I'm sure, but if you had to pick something.
I suppose when I was offered partnership.
Right.
But on a long-term point of view, the benefit of my workplace was tremendous. So it's the other partners, the other staff, the senior partner. It was amazing, out of the world. And so that we gave in the long run. But the fact that I got, in 4 years, I was made a partner, that of course gave me a lot of satisfaction, happiness.
And over this long period of being at the helm of these two firms, I'm sure there would have been some challenging times as well. Can you recollect any, and how did you all manage to overcome?
We had a challenging time, all the practitioners, in 1965 to 1977, when the government was socialist bent. So we had a lot of it affected business, but the professions in particular, because government had influence appointing to the council, so they go before a panel in the institute, and the practitioners go and you ask them, you interview them, and ultimately you ask for that person, but whoever gets a person gets it. So you cannot choose your person.
Oh, I see.
That's a fundamentally, someone wants to learn from you, train with you, you're not giving him the right. Thank God they put it off, that system went off. Then the other thing is, during the time, training in other institutions other than the profession. I, for one, don't think that is good for the complete chartered accountant. In the profession, you have the experience of various types of businesses. If you are in a government institution, you get only that. Or even in private sector companies, they would not have the inclination to send you all over, because that is cost them money. Here we are duty bound to do that, because our responsibility to look after them as future. Fees with government corporations, when you do audits and government corporations, we go on a business of time. We have charge out rates for each category of staff, and that's a big bill. But all of us, whether you do it on a time or any other basis, you are summoned to the Treasury, presided by the Deputy Secretary of Treasury, with the Auditor General and a person from the company or institution, and they bargain with you. I got caught going only once. So I went in and so I explained how we do it. They said, no, you must read it. So I just walked off. I said, no, you accept this or don't pay us. And I just walked off. When I went outside, one of my fellow practitioners, he's a sole proprietor partner, he said, James, what are you so agitated, man? I put 50% more than what I really think is fair. I get 25% more now. They're happy, they reduce 25%, but I get 25% more. So those were terrible times that one had. Thereafter, I can't recall of...
Okay. Thank you for sharing those stories with us. Mr. Asirwatham, if you look at you've been associated with the universities you mentioned, and you're on the boards of 2 schools as well. In terms of the youngsters, young adults moving into careers or the next phase of life or even professional chartered accountants, what are the sort of characteristics that you feel that they should grow to become successful?
Well, I have been on the boards of more than 2 schools, St. Thomas's College, Trinity College, Chapter College, Woodville Girls College, and my beloved Bishop's College. So, and it has given me so much satisfaction to see them coming up and the youngsters, how they have grown. I really feel sorry for the next generation for not being guided properly. Now what Mr. Mehta says is perfectly correct. People used to load the figures and say if you got 100 hours, put 200. Then the treasury cuts it down to 100. And everybody is happy. They are happy. No one comes and checks timesheets. So you'll find that some firms are earning by this system. And you are stuck with people. Some won't fit in, some don't. But now we are able to choose who we want. And there is no excuse. It is very satisfying to see freedom for these youngsters coming up, and accountancy is one of the careers open to them. Because generally, people think that you have to study all commerce subjects if you want to be accountant.
Mr. Mehta, any advice to the young professionals, young chartered accountants?
First and most important, never compromise on standards, laws, ethics. Never compromise. You can't compromise on that. Secondly, that is inherent in our profession. Secondly, you must be a team player. You must be a team player. There are many who say, I. Always should be we. And out of the, if you're a team player, out of that a leader arises. That's the normal procedure. So you must basically be a team player, because there are various people with various capabilities, but yet you have to play with them. That's important. Then one other tip, many don't say what they have to say. I found it on boards, number of boards, that I'm told now is getting better. But those days, 80% wouldn't have prepared the papers. They come to board meetings and they just side with the way the wind is blowing, or take the chairman's side without saying what you have to say. Because you must say what you have to say nicely. Even if you are an employee, even if you are a boss, if there's a boss, if you disagree with him, at a meeting, you must be careful not to make him lose face. You can say what your point of view. But after the meeting, you can go and have one-to-one and tell him exactly what you're feeling. It's very strong terms. So that culture must come in. Then young people must be updated with latest developments in financial areas that they must do. They must take part in institute activities.
Many thanks to the both of you. I wish I could continue this. So many fascinating stories. It was really a privilege for me to do this with the both of you. Wish you the best of health and happiness for your future. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Dimaka.